Just 19% of voters in a new national poll give Democrats in Congress a thumbs up on how they're handling their duties, with 72% disapproving. That's an all-time low since Quinnipiac University first began asking congressional approval questions in their surveys 16 years ago. The Democrats struggling to figure out where their party identity is. We've talked about this a lot, but this is new news. So new news on an old subject. But it just appears like, even regardless of what Trump is doing, that the Trump hatred, or this idea of like Trump derangement syndrome, is not all of a sudden giving Democrats this high approval rating like we've seen in past history. It's not like the Republicans are doing it all wrong, so the Democrats are just going, we're going to approve whatever the Democrats do because, well, the Democrats aren't Republicans. We're not seeing that, which I think is kind of exciting to see. We've also seen the Republican base and much of the MAGA base very upset with what went on with those Epstein files. And so it's a very interesting dynamic of what we have going on politically right now that's leading to individuals thinking individually.
No, and that's good. And when you see the Democratic Party and they're a one-issue party, hate Trump. You're like, what policy is that? What good are you getting from that? You're just hating on one ding dong. You can't be doing that. I hate the trumpeter. That's my whole policy. That's my whole political agenda. That's my whole political party. That's my whole political ideology. Why? What does that do? That doesn't make anything more affordable, better for you, safer for me, more affordable for me or any of us out there. It doesn't make anything more accessible. It doesn't make it where I'm not going to stress out about my kids walking to the park or going to, soccer practice. None of it's more valuable as a political stance. And what do we all look at? Affordability, safety, security, infrastructure up to date. That's what we care about, and not taking every nickel out of our damn pocket because we're tired of that. We're overworked, overtaxed. I mean, it's destroying the dynamics of just our family alone having to do so much work and effort constantly.
Yeah, I mean, while the approval ratings for Republicans in Congress aren't as terrible as the Democrats, they're nothing to brag about. Only a third of voters questioned in the poll said they approved of the way congressional Republicans were handling their duties, with 62% giving them a thumbs down. But just over 3/4 of Republicans, 77%, said they approved of the way GOP lawmakers on Capitol Hill were handling their jobs, with just one in five disapproving. 40% of respondents approved of how Trump is handling his job as president, with 54% disapproving. So just a kind of a little bit of a contrast, but definitely I think kind of this idea that
what the Trump disapproval thing is. It's the damn Epstein list. That's just it.
It's the Epstein thing amongst Republicans.
Yes, and then with everybody else, it seems to be the tariffs that have actually had no negative effect, actually economically speaking, in a true sense. So with the rest, but the Republicans, it's the Epstein thing, and then with everybody else, it seems to be tariffs, and it's like, okay, yes.
There definitely was a lot of Republicans that were not happy with the One Big Beautiful Bill. Yeah, I think because they just didn't understand the economic implications of the bill, but also because I think that, media sold a lot of people on it, on hating the One Big Beautiful Bill, and also some of the amendments to the One Big Beautiful Bill were problematic in terms of trying to get the government back to where it should be, which is minimal.
Yeah, the old chopping it out so somebody will vote for it and let them put their garbage in so they can decide on something and write their name on it so they can feel important like they did something good. Yeah, no, I get sick of that crap. To me, it should be one bill, one topic, one thing. You're done. And yeah, breaking that all up into each individual thing and voting yes or no on it. Yeah, I would way more prefer that. But the thing with the Republican Party having the lower ratings too, I mean, not as bad as the demo socialist nonsense, the crap that they're pulling where they're like, oh, extreme this, Trump I hate is all I got for a policy. But the Republican part is what? Look, they're doing too much lockstep and heat of party lines and stuff instead of right and wrong. That's where the disapproval's coming from in that, because you saw what was the thing on with the Tucker Carlson thing, Ted Cruz. What is that? What is that? You have to only do it this way. Our party only does it this way. And it's like, look, dude, I don't care. If you're my friend or you're part of my group, my organization, my family, my thing, and you're doing something wrong, I'm going to let you know right from wrong, because you need to do right and not wrong, and not just do it, oh, well, we've always done it this way. That doesn't always mean it's right. So that's the big disapproval, I think, with the Republican Party, is they just go, oh, party line, we got to go. And you're like, no, do the right thing, not the wrong thing.
Well, and that's why I kind of have an issue with Trump going after Thomas Massey. I mean, sure, there's an element to where Republicans need to abide by the Republican platform and vote in such a way.
Well, yeah, because that's what makes you part of the party, the team. That you got to do team stuff. Yes,
Well, and there's a value system that you vote for when you check the R.
the morals, the values, the ethics, all the stuff that's really important to be good and do the right thing. For just to simplify it.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Democrats have that same like this is what I'm voting for when I vote for the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party has moved so far away from what the Democrat Party was and is now this woke ideology mafia.
Because remember what, like, even heck, we could probably go 20, actually, only like 20 years ago. The Republican and Democratic Party was just like they didn't like illegal aliens, they didn't like illegal border crossings. Nobody wanted any of this or that. It was mainly like, oh, defense spending or not defense spending and stuff. There was variables, but it was on what to do with infrastructure and tax money and where to spend it on what was going on. Those were the big variables. Big military spending, not big military spending. Those were like the main differences of things. Corporate stuff or individual stuff, mom and pop, you know what I mean? That used to be the big differences, was like big government and smaller government.
So going along with this idea of like checking the box and being part of the party, the United Federation of Teachers is now throwing its support behind Zohran Mamdani in the general election for mayor of New York City after the union declined to endorse a candidate during the Democratic primary. The UFT's delegate assembly voted Tuesday to endorse the 33-year-old Queens State Assemblyman less than a month after he refused to endorse the Democratic Socialists in the primary. At that time, union president Michael Mulgrove said there were unbreachable rifts amongst the ranks and files over the candidate's level of experience to manage the city and their position on non-education issues, including Israel and the crisis in the Gaza Strip. This is an article from Chalkbeat in New York by Amy Zimmer.
What? I never.
Chalkbeat.
I feel like
Chalkbeat, New York. Essential education reporting in New York. There's plenty of questions that come to mind here. The first one is why the teachers union needs a non-educational issue position on Israel and the crisis in the Gaza Strip. I mean, you are a teachers union. Shouldn't your only goal be enhancing education for America's youth?
Well, yeah, that's like being a professional baseball player and being like, you know what, man? Tell you what, man, hockey's all messed up. You're like, you play baseball. Shut up. Sit down. Go play some baseball and stay away from hockey.
Do you think
This is Gretzky, because Gretzky knows hockey, not you.
Do you think that this is a crisis for America's youth, that those that are educating them are now backing a socialist? A hardcore. Drew, about to ask social.
Who is this? What's his name? Salami?
Zohran Mamdani, who is also known as he is a socialist. He is a dream. He's probably the most extreme Democrat candidate ever put up for a position anywhere. I mean, more extreme than AOC or anybody else. And he won the primary for the Democrats over what was his name? The former I'm gonna lose my mind now.
I don't know.
But anyways, Andrew Cuomo, who's a lot more centrist and has become more centrist as the time's gone on. But does this just spell disaster for education in America?
Well, yeah, because they're not doing education. They're doing ideologies. They're pushing formed beliefs, or you're not going to get a good grade unless you're all about my belief or my thing. You've seen what they've done with schools and education. Hey, you guys will get an A today if you go out and protest this. You get excused. You're fine. You have to show up. You can spend time in class making a sign and go out there and do it. And you're like, that's what gets you a grade? Ideology and stuff? Look, I'm all for you protesting and stuff. But when you're supposed to be at school learning to read, write, math, science, history, do what you're supposed to do. I'll take care of the stuff at home that needs to be taken care of, stuff at home, or family dynamics of teaching the morals, values, and ethics. It doesn't mean don't apply them in school, but don't push your political agendas and your ideologies and your sexual orientations and all that stuff. Let the kids be kids. They're supposed to learn the educational part, reading, writing, math, science, and history. Just stop.
Or you could do driver's ed too, of course. I mean, name one other country that allows their public education system to literally trash the government of the country that they're funded by. It does not exist.
Or even the parents of the kids that go there. They'll trash on the parents or the guardians of the children they're supposed to be educating, the youth they're supposed to educate. And they'll be like, you don't know, you're dumb, you're a piece of trash, you don't believe in this, you don't like LGBTQ square apple of 4 DVDs to have an HD with the Blu-ray edition. And you're like, I don't know what any of this is. It doesn't have any relevance with my child being educated. So it's just too much. It's nonsensical. We need to get just more quality and less quantity, I think, at this point. And I think some of it could be some more homeschooling and stuff, or just being like, look, maybe it's not against the law if your kid don't go to school anymore. Maybe your kid going to work with you throughout the day and doing stuff around the house or the farm or even the apartment or around the other kids or the olders in the family and learning from them all day and being read to and taught might be a more op- better option, and just might be a much more optimal aspect and a perception to just do it in a better way. Because if you're not going to have another generation to surpass us to be better, we're just going to be the same old garbage and nonsense. And we're having so much progress. There's so much progress, right, that it's regressive right now. It's insane. If this is progress, I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and we have teachers unions that are pushing for civics education to be anti-free market economy. I mean, instead of teaching free market economics to our students, which is the foundation of American success, we're going to teach that America needs to be more socialistic, that we need to have socialism in this country, that we need communism, that we need Marxism. I mean, that's what we are teaching and allowing this to be taught to our kids in public education. This would not fly anywhere else. I mean, could you imagine if teachers in China decided to teach on free market economics in their classrooms
Instead of teaching communism and
Correct.
wars, yeah.
They'd be like executed.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. A lot of politics has now become the culture as an aspect. To be honest with you, I'm really quite sick of everything dabbling into a political sense, regardless of what it is. It's getting disgusting. It's irritating, and just, man, it just makes you angry all the time.
Yeah, it's an odd number year, which means cross country. We have a lot of school board races going on. And basically, what I tell everybody is, if there's a candidate that's been endorsed by the school board, it's an instant don't vote for him.
Yeah, no, that's a tell. That's a tell because it wants the establishment, the same old crap to keep running. And look, that's a thing with voting. Period. If you keep voting for the same old stuff with a different face, you're not going to get anything different. If you're so easy to get a vote out of that I'd question you or think or really be concerned about your safety at a bar, going to a club or a bar because you just heard sweet words and you're like, that's all that sold me. Off I go to someone's place. You're like, this is insane. That's how people vote, it seems like. Sweet words and nonsense and just looking neat and pretty. Never the core essence or values or anything coming from anybody. Just what does it look like? It looks what I'm accustomed to. This is how we've been doing it. Got to keep doing it that way.
Well, and so, another potential win for education across America. Trump has the U.S. government in retreat from education. This is an article from CNN. Zachary Wolf. The Supreme Court decision this week given President Donald Trump the go-ahead to largely dismantle the Department of Education is just one development this summer in what has been a broad federal retreat from education. The administration is trying to impound $6.8 billion in funding passed during the Biden administration, which states were expecting to receive starting in July. States have sued to get the money, which is meant to help immigrant students attain English proficiency, fund after-school and summer programs, and support the hiring and retention of teachers in low-income areas. The bill that Trump and Republicans eked through Congress makes some important changes to the federal student loan system, making it more difficult to defer payments and cutting down on repayment options. It incentivizes private K-12 education in a new way with a novel tax break beginning in 2027 for people who donate to private school scholarship programs, which effectively puts public money towards private schools, something conservatives have long sought. Trump's big change in education or the federal retreat from many conservatives have long called for, with some new attacks added in for good measure, according to Nat Malkus, Deputy Director of Education Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute. All the actions taken together, he said, could substantially change the federal role in education. My response, thank God.
Right? No, I hear you. I hate how they write that they go, "Oh, he's against education." No, I think he's against establishment education. He's not against you being educated or your kids being educated or anybody being educated or having the knowledge base that they need. It's not that. So it's kind of a little when they word some of the stuff, he's fighting against education. It's like, no, he's fighting against a corrupt, polluted, filthy, angled, ideological, weird, gross, just not teaching education system of the establishment of a bunch of weird power tripping, school boards and school board presidents that are just like, "Hey, here's some weird trendy stuff. Let's do this." And you're like, just keep it to being an education system, not a bunch of crap."
This is the basics of a free market economy. Is there's incentive, right? There's an incentive to educate children well. And what we did in the federal government and what we've done in state governments for so long is we've said, you know what, there's no incentive. Basically, you're going to get funded regardless, to the tune of like 13,000 a student in some places. Some places are 26,000 or $30,000 per head in a school is what they're receiving in state or federal funding.
That's where they get mad about the
And so, but there's no incentive to perform well. So when you allow private schools to now have an equal footing and you allow children and parents the opportunity to choose their schools and send them to charter schools, send them to private schools, have the ability to somehow use their taxpayer funds to do it, now there's incentive back in the public education system to actually perform. And so when we have that incentive, we're going to see changes and we're going to see education improve. What's happened for so long is there's no incentive. You're going to get the money regardless. So what's the incentive to actually teach kids how to do math, English, science? Instead, they're teaching them woke ideology and they're teaching them on communism and how, the free economic system is terrible. And what's happening? And they're coming out less prepared to enter into the real world.
and they don't teach them anything for the real world. You don't learn how to do your taxes, the importance of like your social security number, how to balance a bank account, what you got to spend money on, how to do a budget, realizing how much taxes you're going to pay, figuring hours of work and stuff, or managing anything. I mean, heck, I don't even have like home ec anymore. Remember home ec? Home ec, it's like baking and ironing and sewing and stuff. I don't even have that kind of stuff no more. There's nothing real substance based left in the public education system, in my personal opinion. Everything that's creative or artsy or neat, whether it be auto shop, metal shop, welding, wood shop, a lot of arts classes, lots of music stuff, a lot of that stuff's gone. And then what happens with kids too? If you haven't, I know, like with my son when he was little, he hated school. He's my son. We have a lot of similarities. We don't like to conform or be told what to do kind of aspects to a lot of things. We have to discover it and we'll go figure our way out. But learning to read and a few other things. He didn't want to read their boring old books. So I got him like something he had a little more interest in. He liked Star Wars. So I got him some like Star Wars books and some books about cars. And I had to get it like approved by the school to get him to do like book reports and reading stuff on things that he had interest in and stuff about like the history of Legos and stuff. So I kind of took what he liked and mixed it in with like a historical sense or an educational sense topic with it. But I had to be like, get permission from a teacher, talk to a principal, da da da. I'm like, dude, it's him reading. I thought you wanted him to read. Does it really matter exactly what he's reading on part of it? If it's something he's got interest in, he doesn't have to necessarily read your curriculum through and through.
So, we have a win here because we talked about the PBS NPR thing
Oh, yeah.
earlier in the year when President Trump made a executive order, but now it's going through Congress. And just to remind you a little bit of how atrocious PBS is, a PBS station featured drag queen Little Miss Hot Mess on a program meant for kids 3 to 8. PBS produced a movie titled Real Boy, which celebrates a transgender teen's transition. PBS show Sesame Street partnered with CNN for a town hall aimed at presenting children with a one-sided narrative to address racism amid Black Lives Matter's riots. PBS's coverage of the 2024 Republican National Convention was 72% negative, while its coverage of the 2024 Democratic National Convention was 88% positive. So now an article out of the Hill, Trump funding cuts to PBS set to hit free educational content for kids. Looming federal funding cuts for PBS puts in jeopardy some of the most used educational videos and games shown to help children improve literacy and other social skills. The cut's part of a $9 billion rescissions package Republicans are poised to pass as soon as Wednesday afternoon, pose a serious threat to PBS's bottom line. Last month, multiple projects for kids' education got stalled or canceled after a single grant to public television was taken away. The harm that eliminating PBS will cause in communities where children live. Public radio and public TV stations provide free, credible news, and not just that, but also educational programming and content. Programs like Sesame Street, that is a staple of many American childhoods and households, were birthed from those stations, said Weed James, Senior Director for K-12 Policy at the Center for American Progress.
See, they, them, we,
I don't know. WEADE. Oh, I don't know how do you pronounce that name, but you know what? Whatever.
Fine.
I mean, if PBS decided to produce actual educational content that was, nonpartisan with public funds, well, maybe they wouldn't have $9 billion taken away from them.
Yeah, but that's the thing though too, is like PBS used to really be educational, teaching letters, colors, numbers, counting, spelling. Hey, be a good person in your community. Look, there's trash on the ground. Pick it up and, throw it in the thing and be Oscar the Grouch come out of the trash can. What are you doing to my house? And it's like, I had to pick up the trash. Oh, that's a good idea. Why he's yelling and screaming at people from a dumpster. But they're not doing that. They just put it under the guise of educating kids and titled it. So then if just the regular old person just reads it like, oh, whoa, 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 we want to have funding for educating kids, not seeing the content and what's going on. And I think it's good that they don't have their funding for this kind of trash and garbage, because the kids need to be kids is always first and foremost. It seems like at this point in junction and era of time that we're in right now, they destroyed every free-thinking, creative, questioning thing that kids do. You can tell a kid all day, don't eat the dirt, man. And they're like, oh, well, they got to eat it. And they're like, oh, it tastes like dirt. And you're like, I told you. But, they'd like to discover and experience and see things. And they're just taking them because they're little sponges and Play-Doh and just molding them into just weird, obscure things. How many of these kids nowadays are like, oh, I'm a cat, I'm a dog, I'm a dolphin, I'm a whatever, I'm a giraffe. And you're like, what? You're a little kid, man. Imagination time's done. You got to sit at the table and eat dinner. Do your homework.
So Florida is starting to change the face of education. This is an article from Florida Phoenix New Schools Commissioner delivers fiery speech to the State Board of Education.
Fiery states.
Education Commissioner Anastas Kamastis. It must be Greek.
I don't think you're allowed to do names anymore, right?
I don't think I'm allowed to do names.
Put those through your AI thing.
Sorry to the Education Commissioner. Delivered his first speech to the State Board of Education Wednesday, quoting the Book of Psalms and promising to work closely with Florida's top law enforcement officer to ensure students aren't being indoctrinated. The Book of Psalms says that children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him, said Kamastis, who started his position July 14th. On my first day as Commissioner of Education, it was important for me to connect with parents, teachers, and superintendents across the state to ensure that we are working together for the common goal of educating our students to the best of our abilities and prioritizing them as the blessing that they are in our lives. At least one person has it right.
I think it's on point with it, but at the same time, there could be a religious aspect and some things of families. I choose a different religion, denomination, or something. So there could be a couple.
Well, let's say he's not trying to put Christianity into schools.
Okay,
it's not what he's trying to do. He quoted Psalms in a statement.
Oh, he quoted it in a statement.
In a statement to the Board of Education.
Okay, then fine. I got you. Okay, so see, even I misinterpreted, but with further context and clarification, what have we done? I asked a question and it was cleared up. Yay, thanks, public education system. Look at me go. You taught me how to ask questions.
So in a separate memorandum, here's what he said. Florida is the education state because we have removed indoctrination from instruction. We have empowered our teachers to create learning environments without repeated disruptions, and we have supported the power of the parent to make important decisions in the education of their child.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. That works.
I mean, I hope every state takes note here because this is not complicated. You have one job. And the problem is that all of these people have decided that their role in education extends far beyond what their actual role is, which is to teach and educate students.
Well, yeah. Well, you look at how much power and authority just a school has anyways over your kid. You have to go get permission to pick up your own kid from school. You have to go through a whole check-in process and stuff. And I get the security aspect of it, just to have lunch with your kid or your nieces or nephews, at school, because they get a kick out of that stuff. But you have to go through all this process. You can't even pull your kid out. There could be an emergency. No, they have to stay here with da-da-da, yada-yada until the... And I'm like, I'm here right now. You had a bomb threat or some crap. I can grab my kid and go home. My kid is accounted for. No, they have to... And you're like, they have so much authority over everything with your children now. It's insane. They've almost think that they've taken the place as the parent or guardian or as a family member for that kid nowadays. And you're like, no, that's not how it works. You're just an establishment that's supposed to be just educating, teaching the basics so they can read and write. But also, we're so busy at work, we don't have time to see or interfere or do anything. So what's happened? Honestly, there was some pluses to the old COVID, was there not? We got to notice some of the stuff because you're like, what? What are you showing my kid? And what are you talking about on this? You like pop in on the video. You're like, excuse me? Oh, and I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm an adult, not one of your students. What are we talking about here?
Well, and if you recall during COVID, right, the kid that had like a Nerf gun on his wall had the police called on him. Oh yeah, I could see the Nerf gun in his video, and you're like, what is wrong with these people? I mean, this is my house. Yeah, right. Like I could have a shotgun behind me, behind my kid's door, and behind my kid's desk, and you know what? It's perfectly fine because it's my house.
Yeah, and you don't know what it is. Don't assume things. You don't want me to assume you're a weird gendery thing, then don't be assume what I'm doing. Because you know how it is nowadays, right? They'll get mad at you for calling yourself dumb, but they can call themselves whatever they want. You're like, yeah, I'm a dum-dum today, but somebody get all involved about that. But like I said, I don't know. It's ridiculous with all the stuff that they do and the way they do everything and just the absurd amount of authority that they think they have over everything you're doing. And you've seen it because as a person, like I was saying a minute ago, we'll sometimes do something dumb. We're like, man, I'm dumb. And they'll get all amped up about that. About, don't call yourself dumb, blah, 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 this and that, yada, yada, yada. And you're all, what? I'm owning up to making a mistake. We're moving on already. You're the one hanging on this.
Well, and there's so many parents that are just oblivious to what's going on in their kids' school. I mean, I remember when we had the, but they don't even want to believe it, right? Like when the furries came out, and there was litter boxes in bathrooms and water bowls for students to
Got us to be confused with Furbies.
Yeah, furries.
Excuses.
Not the ones that wake up in the middle of the night and make noise and you're like, what the heck?
Sending reports to China.
Chucky's here.
Nice.
Oh, but I talked to so many parents and they were like, that's not happening in Colorado Springs schools. I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm like, go ask these kids. They will tell you exactly that it's happening in all these schools, that there's bowls being set out for kids to drink water out of because they want to pretend to be a cat. There's litter boxes in bathrooms. Hopefully the kids aren't using them, dude, but they probably are.
I don't know, man. You know what? There's a remedy for that. You want to think you're a dog or a lizard? All right, dogs outside, lizards outside.
I know it's wrong, but we spray and neuter our dogs and cats.
I'm just saying with some of it, maybe just do the thing with it, right? Bob Barker would love that. Give him the Bob Barker treatment. Spay or neuter your pets and animals. But look, I'm all for kids having imagination. That's fine. But like taking to the thing where the imagination is reality, that's just insane. It's ridiculous. And yeah, everybody is oblivious, but a lot of it is that we're working all day and we do too. It's our fault as well as parents, as guardians of children. And we just expect that the education system, the old status quo is going to be, hey, we have a check writing class. We're going to teach you how to do money math and all this kind of stuff. You're going to be educating your kid. Oh, your kid's going to do PE, climb a rope, do some wrestling, play some football, some soccer, baseball. You got a science class with some stuff foaming and doing things. Biology, but it don't seem like that no more.
Welcome back to Spiritual Insurgency. This just in, Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide but likely had help, former lawyer claims. Attorney Alan Dershowitz suggests jail personnel may have assisted sex trafficker's suicide. This is an article by Michael Ruiz on Fox News. Jeffrey Epstein's former lawyer says he believed the disgraced financier may have had help killing himself in prison, but he rejected claims that anyone other than Epstein was responsible. It is clear from the evidence that Epstein committed suicide, attorney Alan Dershowitz wrote in a New Wall Street Journal op-ed. What isn't clear is whether he was assisted by jail personnel. That seems likely to me based on the evidence of allegedly broken cameras, transfer of his cellmate, and the absence of guards during relevant time periods. Epstein's 2019 death in federal custody prompted a storm of conspiracy theories. Critics, including Epstein's brother, have rejected the idea that he killed himself, citing an independent observation of his autopsy by Dr. Michael Baden and a range of other factors in the case, including a lack of security footage and a pending push for bail. The FBI and Justice Department, in a joint memo released earlier this month, announced that a review of Epstein's case file had been completed. Authorities said there was no incriminating client list, that no additional files connected to the investigation would be released, and that his death was indeed a suicide, as previous federal investigations found. In the op-ed, Dershowitz confirmed the government's claim that Epstein didn't create a client list, but said accusers interviewed by the FBI named several alleged clients whose names have been redacted and sealed in court. I don't know who they are, Dershowitz wrote. They don't include any current office holders. We don't know whether the accusations are true. The courts have also sealed negative information about some of the accusers to protect them. While neither federal prosecutors nor private attorneys have the authority to release the names, he wrote that federal judges do have that power. So I guess the question becomes a couple things. Number one, did he have help committing suicide? But number two, the more important thing is, will federal judges actually release this information or allow for this information to be released?
First off, let's touch on all the assistants. That seems really fun and neat. What did he do? Give him a boost, tie the knots, do the thing, supply the thing, kick the chair. What did they, Kevorkian? Remember Dr. Kevorkian, the assisted suicide guy from like the 90s? All that stuff, isn't that kind of against the law? Assisted suicide?
Out in Colorado.
Yeah, no, neat. But what I'm saying here is like, okay, yeah, cool, but they could have got the info first, for crying out loud. And federal judges, I don't think they're going to list anything or say anything. They're not going to. At this point in junction, most of us just think that what? We think the whole establishment's in on it. That's what we think. We're like, no, dude, we think that everybody's just covering each other's backs and keeping everybody safe and scratching each other's backs because somebody owes someone a favor somewhere with something, or else it would all be out there. I mean, we're in an era where they released that aliens existed and stuff and UFOs, and they released it, what is it, freaking JFK's thing and Martin Luther King's assassination and stuff, right? But not on the Epstein stuff. And I maybe there isn't a per se list like written down where it says, hey, it's Billy, it's Todd, it's Jenny, it's Susie. But you know there's some stuff in there where there's definitely some names and a few things. And I'll be straight with you. If it is a bunch of high political public figures, religious people, anything, I don't care if you cured cancer. Screw you. Go to hell. I don't care if you're the best neurosurgeon in the world and you're the only one. Nope, you're part of the problem. Get to getting and get them out and show me them on the thing and let's be done with this, because I don't care how important or special anybody thinks they is. Evil's evil. And these terrible, gross, disgusting individuals that have victimized just countless other youths and ruined probably a big portion of a generation. Nah, I'm good. Screw them. Put them out on blast. Be done with it. Put them in the box. Give them the death penalty. Let's move on and be a better society.
So, number one, I believe that at the time, Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch, which should have made it pretty hard for Jeffrey Epstein.
The version of suicide watch they gave him was, watch me help you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Watch me help you out. So I'm on suicide, watch me help you.
If he was on suicide watch, somebody would have had to help him commit suicide, or at least provide him the materials to do so.
Yes.
I might be wrong about that, but I believe he was on suicide watch at the time, if I recall the story. But number two, I mean, is public pressure mounting to the point that somebody's going to have to release something? That's the magic question. And the other question becomes, who is going to do it and who has the ability to do it? Because there's some push for Congress to force the hand of release of this information. Here, this article is saying that the judges would be the ones that would disclose what was redacted from the court documents. So is public pressure going to take hold to the point where eventually we get this information? Or is it going to be like JFK, where we're going to get this information 50 years down the road?
I think they need to do it now and they need to be done with it. And whoever does it is going to be the next freaking hero of the community, society, modern era of politics, whatever it is. Whoever it is going to be the one where they're going to be like, well, I guess this is my new guy or gal that I'm voting for whatever they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they're going to run for president and be like, I don't even know who this is, and they release this stuff. That's the big hero for the modern era. I'm in. Let's do it.
So is this a card that the Republicans are keeping in their back pocket? I mean, are they going to keep this in their back pocket till we have an election in 28.
I was gonna say, is there possibly a thing like that because of midterms and all that kind of stuff coming up? Is there a tactic to this? I hope there's a rhyme and reason for it, and it's not just some disgusting bunch of idiots that are part of it, that are also in charge of the investigation, that are also in charge of the release and the redactions and the check-in, the list and the clients and all this stuff. I'm hoping it's not one of those big circle.
Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not a political pawn that they're going to pull out in the midterms of the next general election. Maybe they're not releasing this because they're trying to build an active case against these people. That's my hope.
That does have hope and stuff, but maybe too is to keep certain weirdos from running too, and then still release it after. Like, tactically speaking, if that could be a possibility. I mean, we're getting in the realm of who, what, where, when, if, how, if, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, maybes, possibilities, variables. But let's be honest, it could be a tactic with something like that too going on. Oh, you want to run for this? Well, you might be on a thing that we may or may not have that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I also find it interesting. I mean, I guess there's a question of whether or not Dershowitz has reason to potentially protect any current lawmakers or the president of the United States. Elon Musk claimed that Trump was part of it. He then redacted that statement and then came back out and said it again, I believe. But Alan Dershowitz said that nobody that's currently serving in office is on that list.
Then Elon Musk can go release the list. If he knows what the list is, how come he's not releasing it then? I would agree with what I'm saying, right? If you're saying you know what's on the list, show me the list. You got part of it, show me part of it. You got 4 names out of freaking a million? Give me the 4 that are out of the million you got. I don't care. Give me what you got then. If Elon Musk, I know, I'll put it on there. I'm calling Elon Musk out. I'm nobody. Who cares? He wants to say he's for the people and about the people and the freedom and stuff. If he knows something, release what he knows. He's got a bunch of that beep, bop, boop, 01 nerd computery crap. And if he's saying he knows on the list, show me. Do it. I challenge Elon Musk right now to showing me what he knows.
I wonder if Grok knows. I wonder if Elon's AI knows.
Whatever it is,
maybe we should ask Elon's AI right now.
Throw it out there in the ether and throw it out in the old interwebs. Elon Musk, show us what you got then. Don't just sit there with accusations and throwing out mean words like you're fighting against an ex-girlfriend. Show me. Do it. Bring it out.
So I asked Grok, I said, is there an Epstein client list? Grok's response, no evidence supports the existence of a specific Jeffrey Epstein client list, as popularly speculated.
See, but I think the reason for that is because they say the list, like it's a list of names. I don't think there's a list of names. I think there's videos and crimes and maybe like a travel log and some other things of that nature, or people at parties or guest type things, or there might be a partial log books, or it says room blah, blah, blah on floor yada, yada of old Nickelodeon Island. Crap nonsense happened, and here's who it was at Hotel freaking Sicko.
But you don't believe that Epstein was the only one that abused these girls?
No, and I don't either. No, I think there's probably a whole plethora of stuff. Not just girls, there's apparently boys too. A whole list of sicko stuff, apparently. But it's, like I said, it's all speculation at this point. But like I said, I go right back to my previous statement. You better get up or shut up there, Elon Musk. You show me your list and what you got. I don't care if it is one name. And if it is Trumpeter on that list, then screw him too. I don't care who you are or what you got going on. If you're on the list, you're a piece of trash. And you need to go to the chipper. It's just the way it is. Be done with them. Let's move forward and be a better society and get this trash and this garbage out of our communities and out of our freaking politics, out of our religions, out of our households, out of our neighborhoods. I'm done with it. I'm tired of it.
Well, APA head promises to clear the air on conspiracies about government engineering of weather. This is an article on AOL from NBC News.
AOL are around?
Melendez, yes.
AOL still exists? America Online. Yes, the old disk for the computer to log into the interwebs. Sounds like
the chat noise.
Well, no. Actually, nowadays it would just sound like an electric car breaking down. But yeah,
you've entered the chat.
Yeah.
The head of the Environmental Protection Agency on Thursday appeared to nod to conspiracy theorists that have swirled around recent extreme weather events, directing people to the agency's website for science-based information on geoengineering and contrails. In a post on X, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin said that people have legitimate questions about contrails and geoengineering, and they deserve straight answers. We're publishing everything EPA knows about these topics on these websites, he wrote in a news release Thursday that promised total transparency with the American public. EPA shares the significant reservations many Americans have when it comes to geoengineering activities, he said. The new website offers a variety of information that appears to stick closely to generally accepted definitions and science around geoengineering and the government's ongoing research on contrails. Some sections even debunk the more outlandish claims of government weather control. Has large-scale solar geoengineering deployment already happened? The EPA's new frequent questions section asks, answering no, the U.S. government is not engaged in any form of outdoor solar geoengineering testing or large-scale
engineering.
Yes, or large-scale deployment.
So wouldn't it constitute solar panels? I'm just throwing it out there.
No. Severe weather events have hammered parts of the United States in recent days. In Texas, at least 120 people died and 173 are still missing after a devastating flood wiped out at least 6 communities July 4th. 4 days later in New Mexico, at least 3 people died after a flood in Ruidoso. I should not pronounce it.
They're not allowed to do names. You just run those through your little AI you love so much. You talk to the gonk or whatever it's called.
A resort town already susceptible to mudslides and runoffs after 2 catastrophic fires last year. Scientifically baseless claims of weather control become an increasingly common reaction to extreme weather, moving from the fringe and into some mainstream discourse. We spoke on this stuff last week on air. It was aired.
Yep.
It's also online. If you missed it, go to it. Rumble or YouTube, Spiritual Insurgency, you'll find we broke down cloud seeding and what they were doing in Texas just the day before all of a sudden we have this massive flood.
So first and foremost, it's an absolute tragedy, the unnecessary death and life loss for the children and family members and people that expired because of this nonsense. Whether it be extreme or weather manipulation or not, that's something that, we have to at least say for sure is like, that's just an absolute tragedy that should have never probably taken place. And if we have the weather radar technology in the modern era of 2025, that's pretty accurate. There could have been a lot of things prevented regardless of circumstance or situation, first and foremost. Secondly, let's be straight with this. We've been seeding clouds and doing water things definitively on record, definitely as far as I know, since Vietnam. As far as a conflict, that was a whole thing to wash them out and be done because it's some slimy, jungly crap. By the way, if you've ever been in a real jungle, it's absolutely freaking miserable and I do not like it. It's a very scary place. I don't like deserts either. So anyways, we've been doing it. We've known about it. It's not a thing. I mean, heck, there was an interview with the guy on, what was that CEO, that 38-year-old or 30-something-year-old CEO of whatever company with all those contracts in Texas, right? What show was that he was on?
He was on a Sean Ryan show.
Sean Ryan show, yeah. Okay, so he's on there telling them about stuff. Oh, we do this. So it's not out of the realm or anything. And you know what? Before it's done, there needs to be, if you're going to do it because a place needs water or something, I get it. But you notify the public, you let people know, you put the safety measures in place, you don't hide it from us, you let us approve or say yay or nay. It is we, the people, not then the system, to do whatever the hell they want. EPA is a filthy organization. It's almost like a lord of the land, if you will. They make their own rules and stuff. We don't vote or tell them they can or can't do stuff, but they hold us accountable to everything. Oh, you're in trouble. We're the EPA. Oh, it's an exhaust emissions. It's a this thing, or you drove a diesel, or blah, blah, blah. But what the EPA do even here, like Colorado River, like 5-6 years ago? Turned the Colorado River like orange and gross with chemicals and spill off and runoff and destroyed that. They didn't get in trouble, and they broke every rule that they have in place that they just made up and did. So the EPA, to me, really has no authority to any of us because we didn't vote on them to even be an organization or an establishment piece or any part of our system. They're like the IRS. They just start making up their own stuff and start hammering you through and screwing you over. There's kind of a weird feudal aspect with politics and all these little 3-letter organizations doing stuff. They just do it like they're old lords of the land, go, oh, well, the rule here is this. And you'll follow it, and you're like, I didn't get to vote. I didn't get to say anything. You didn't even ask me. You took my tax money, your tax money, and you started funding crap and then holding me accountable, or you charge somebody a fine or make sure I can't just live my life. But then you go make a problem that's bigger, or you probably are, but you don't want to be honest or forthcoming, and you don't ever hold yourself accountable. And you're never held out there going, oh, we screwed up. And they just make rules that we don't even approve of or know about, and doing policy that we didn't vote on and we didn't approve on. And they use our money for that crap. So the EPA can go suck one and move on down to the side too, because I don't like them either. Who's in charge of the EPA?
Zeldin.
I'll fight you, Zelda. There you go. Have fun. Feel free. I got enough pent up anger and rage. We'll have a good time, buddy. I'll wear gloves so you don't have to.
The conclusion that we came to last week, which I strongly suggest you go watch the video, is that regardless of whether or not this flood was entirely caused by the cloud seeding, you can't 100% claim that the cloud seeding did not add to the devastation or add to the toll that it took on that
Other weather radar. There's enough preventative things that you shouldn't be having at this point in junction in the level of society that we have around the world, period. There shouldn't be people, oh, it was a flood that nobody could see coming with the rains. You shouldn't be having that. You can get people evacuated or moved or set on higher ground. You can get stuff out there, sandbags and stuff, with enough time nowadays.
Well,
And then with everybody using their AI with the weather stuff, they project it with the top 10 scenarios of the worst case aspects of it.
So there was I think it was a 42-minute delay from when the weather alert came in to when they started evacuating campers, and they're blaming the camp for this. But I don't understand why you wouldn't know well enough ahead of time. Like, I just don't see this coming out of the blue. I mean, and we have back to back. I think there's been 4 or 5 once in a 1,000-year floods that have taken place in the last month and a half. It doesn't make sense. And to say that there's no way that any of the geoengineering stuff that we're doing, we had flood and impact, just is ridiculous.
Yeah, we had floods here too, just yesterday? But nobody's saying anything about flooding. It was just a flash rain. What was the incline in Manitou Springs had some weird flooding that nobody knew about, and everybody's just out there, but you're like, you can't. The phones beep, man. The phones beep for freaking Amber Alerts letting you know there's a kid missing or picked up or stolen or some freak or some wanted stuff. You're telling me it'll beep on severe weather things? They're not beeping everybody? Remember the Hawaiian thing with the apparent missile it was coming? It beeped and everybody freaked out. These things, man, we track ourselves and do everything with all this garbage. And you're telling me you can't make this beep and be like, oh crap, let's say it's going to flood and the map shows this and I'm right there.
Well, and I think the question really becomes is that, yes, they were given warning, but not substantial amounts of warning. And maybe there was a little bit of delay.
42 minutes though, man. So let's take it with modern technology. So per device thing going through, you have a 30-second to 10-minute difference. How many things and freaking satellites and then cell phone towers have got to go through? And you're like, still, even with 42 minutes. So you start looking and think about it real clear to get to your phone. And even if it's the longest route possible, that's about 15 minutes. So 15-minute delay out of the 42 minutes. So you still got, 28 minutes, right? 27 minutes?
I bring it up because the blame right now is on the camp, right? Like, a lot of people are blaming the camp for waiting this 40 minutes to start the evacuation.
Don't we have a net?
But my question becomes, number one, why did they wait so long to give this warning? But number two, why is there not more public pressure to investigate the geoengineering that's taken place? Why are we just trying to scapegoat this camp director who's now dead? He was trying to save children. He's now dead.
Oh, he was doing the right thing, and this guy expired, and they blamed a dead man that was trying to help people, trying to be a good person and doing things well beyond. That's what constitutes a hero. It's not your job.
Yeah,
His job's the camp director. His job ain't out there to try to pull people out of the flood. Let's leave you on.
There's conversation about, number one, where the cabins were built. The cabins were built in a known flood area. So there's conversation about that. There's conversation about this 42-minute gap of evacuating children. But once again, my point is, just to be clear, they are not talking about rainmakers, cloud seeding in the preceding moments up until this storm, right? And the days before this storm. And to just say that there's no way that any of this cloud seeding or geoengineering is responsible for the amplitude of this flooding and the hurricanes that we have and the natural disasters that we have is absolutely absurd, that we're just going to ignore the fact that we are changing weather and we're not going to address it.
That's like saying you didn't make any difference in that pond, creek, or freaking lake or a river by throwing a rock in it. You had an impact on something doing some of it. Whether it's big or small, or the scale could be different, but still the point being with it, yes, that would definitely, definitively have an effect on whether it's other clouds coming in or the wind coming in or the highs and the lows and blah, 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 and all that weather crap. Because we have a National Weather Association or whatever it's called, and they don't know. Come on, let's be realistic about it. And it's right there out in the open, out in the sky, and nobody knows. No, I'm good.
It seems like there should have been more of a lead up than just the 42 minutes. Like they should have known well in advance that something may be on the rise or coming. I just don't believe that
It's just
dawned out
as
of nowhere.
forecast models and stuff, they would be a thing of showing you days before, weeks before, right? They always do the old 10-day layout, right? The 2-week, 10-day layout on the weather channels and all the weather things. Heck, your weather app gives you 10 days. And they don't know. Because you know that like 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a severe weather warning on a damn Tuesday. And it's like freaking Thursday, 2 weeks before. So no, there's something missing in there somewhere. Somebody doesn't want to be held accountable or liable for something. And you know what? Screw it. If maybe all these people who had family members or someone expire or something, or even the camp itself, whatever, needs to sue or put a big lawsuit out there for, I don't like lawsuits and stuff, just to get some stuff out in the open to whatever these seeding companies are that are out there in those areas. Why not? For the one time where I say, yeah, go sue somebody. There you go. There's a time to do it, because it'll start dragging stuff out in the open. It'll be like, oh, we were scheduled on these days and that day at these times and locations, and we had our equipment up in the air, and the FAA, they knew about it because it's up in the sky. So
Yeah, and they disclose all this stuff. I mean, it's not not hidden when they're cloud seeding. I mean, we know when they're cloud seeding. We know which clouds they're going after. They report all this stuff. I just it's mind-boggling that this is the response from the EPA. Is like, we're going to tell you everything we know, but we're not going to at all investigate what the potential impact of what they were doing on some of these floods across country actually were. It just doesn't seem very
have that in
transparent.
front of me. I don't remember on the EPA. Yeah, same old crap, different face.
I mean, listen, we if you recall, we had Senate hearings on performance enhancing drug use.
Yeah.
In the MLB, right? I recall. You're right. Barry Bonds sit out there like,
Yeah, congressional and Senate meetings on,
I don't know. I don't know if I do the Facebook.
yeah, stuff on Twitters or Xers and Instagram crackers and talk ticking clock China whatever thing. They have all these things. On here, oh my gosh, and they'll have a whole thing about it, but they don't want to see on something seriously happening. Oh, the social media will have a congressional thing because they're going to affect elections. Yeah, people are communicating, whether it's honest or not or truthful, and who cares? But you don't want to check on this? Nah, you don't want to check on that because you're probably complicit.
Well, and I don't want to downplay the election stuff because it actually don't make it.
But I'm just saying with it, they'll put more play into that honestly didn't expire any lives as far as we know, and it's something that expired citizens' lives. Families that take care of and fund the whole operation, they don't care about. The people that voted for these people to be in positions, they don't care about seeing about your safety or checking on you. That you pay their paychecks. And they're supposed to be doing the will of the people, which is infrastructure and security and safety. And they don't care. The EPA says it's fine. We're fine.
The American public deserves a congressional hearing on this matter. They deserve to hear what the truth is. They deserve to hear what is actually going on, because as I said last week, there's so many Americans that just don't even believe that we are cloud seeding. They think it's fake. They think it's a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. They've outwardly said they're doing it, and they've been doing it for years.
If I remember correctly, the historical aspect is it was a military weapon that was implemented in Vietnam and Korea.
Correct.
It was developed to fight against the Nazis and the Japanese in World War II, and it wasn't quite perfected. And it was kind of somewhat discovered because of a shaft and all that stuff from planes and things and how it would affect stuff. Like literally aluminum.
And there's a ton of researchers that believe that they redirected a hurricane straight into to Georgia. I mean, there's a long history of weather modification, of cloud seeding, and of some of the disastrous effects that it's had.
Right? No, and I look, science is crazy now, man. I mean, we're this close to going Mars. We're that close to where like a space trip will be a recreational thing, like a plane flight, for crying out loud. Uh, the technology nowadays, look how much we've advanced. Just my lifetime alone, we've gone to where the population of the planet has doubled, but they tell us how unsafe it is in a weird aspect. But also on top of it, my era, we went from rotary phones to this stuff. This has more technology than what got us to the moon. All those big rooms you see in those movies, this is more technology and more advanced than all those NASA rooms that got us to the moon, man. That's insane.
Well, I don't believe it went to the moon, but yeah. So you see what I'm saying? There's some job is ace, okay, whatever. If you don't like the moon and you're not a mooner, then fine, don't moon anybody and whatever. It's got more technology than got us to space or beyond the stratosphere, okay? The whole thing with it is that technology has advanced so much in the last, 40 years, the last 20 years. Look at the last 10 years. Look at where cell phones came from the 80s and 90s to now. We had pagers, man, payphones, rotary phones, beta, VCRs. Man, we don't even put stuff in a machine to watch a movie. We just turn the TV on, watch it off a screen. So yeah, with the technology, it's quite possible. Well, this has been Spiritual Insurgency. Join this episode and any other episode online, YouTube and Rumble. Spiritual Insurgency. Have a great day. God bless.
You want it better, be better.